Local officials holding a news conference right now to provide an update on the destructive SoCal wildfires.
And let's listen in.
Alrighty, folks. I got you here. Chief McDonald, I got you right here. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. My name is Zach Seidel. I'm Deputy Mayor Communications for Mayor Bass. We're going to start with a brief update on the Kenneth Fire. We're going to hear from Mayor Bass as well as Chief Crowley of LAFD. Following that, Mayor Bass will come back to the podium and provide remarks. We'll hear from FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, Senator Adam Schiff, Supervisor Lindsay Horvath, Sheriff Robert Luna, County Fire Chief Deputy John O'Brien, Fire Chief Crowley, PD Chief Jim McDonnell, followed by Superintendent Alberto Carvalho. As always, we appreciate people signing up for notifications at Notify LA. We are also joined by leaders throughout the state and federal government. We're joined by FEMA Regional Administrator Bob Fenton, Congresswoman Luz Rivas, Congressman George Whitesides, Congressman Brad Sherman, Congresswoman Laura Friedman, Congresswoman Judy Chu, Congressman Jimmy Gomez, Congressman Ted Lieu, also Assemblymember Rick Zabur, Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez, Assemblymember Jessica Caloza, Assemblymember Celeste Rodriguez, as well as Assemblymember John Harabian. We're also joined by Mayor of Santa Monica, Lana Negretti. Thank you so much, and Mayor Bass, I'll pass it off to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and let me just thank all of the leaders that are here with us today. I think it is a perfect example of how we are speaking with one voice. We will unify our city, we will get through this crisis, and we will rebuild a better Los Angeles. First and foremost, of course, my thoughts are with the thousands of Angelenos impacted by these continuing fires. There is a new fire, unfortunately, in West Hills, pushing into Ventura County, and we are expecting this fire to rapidly spread due to high winds. This is a reminder that this is a very dynamic situation that can change quickly. The priority for all Angelenos remains stay safe and please follow directions from the public safety officials. When you are told to evacuate, please evacuate. When you don't evacuate, you compromise the abilities of the first responders, one, to address this crisis. You put yourself in danger and you put others in danger. Again, we know that this is an active situation. LAPD will be assisting with evacuations, and I want to thank the firefighters from all over the state and frankly from many other areas who have come to respond to this unprecedented situation. Now, for an update on this most recent fire, I'd like to call Chief Crowley.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Kristen Crowley, Fire Chief of Los Angeles City Fire Department. We are now actively engaged in a new brush fire. We're calling it the Kenneth Fire in the West Hills area of Los Angeles on the border of Ventura County. This fire was over 50 acres upon arrival, with the potential for rapid growth over the next hour. Over 60 fire companies from the Los Angeles City Fire Department, LA County Fire Department, and Ventura County Fire Department were initially dispatched to the specific incident. Additional resources have been requested and are en route. The fire started in the city of Los Angeles and burned rapidly into the county of Ventura. Los Angeles County Fire Department and Ventura County Fire Department are in unified command. The LAFD is now an assisting agency. There are currently immediate evacuation orders in place south of Van Owen, north of Burbank, east of Valley Circle, and west of County Lane Road. An evacuation warning is in place west of Valley Circle, north of Saticoy, east of Woodlake, and south of Burbank. I will now be providing a quick update on the Palisades fire. Current acreage is 19,978. There are currently 5,316 structures that were damaged or destroyed. And unfortunately, our thoughts and prayers go out to the families. We do have a confirmed 2 fatalities that are now due to this incident. In closing, I want to make sure that we thank the residents of Los Angeles for remaining vigilant, and this new fire shows that we are absolutely not out of this extreme weather event. I personally want to take and show, I should say, my thanks and gratitude to all of our firefighters, our first responders, and for their families for all the sacrifices, their relentless efforts in battling this historic fire. And I should make that plural, historic fires. Next up, we're going to bring back the mayor. Mayor?
Thank you, Chief Crowley, for your leadership, and thank you for that update. We'll have critical updates on the state of this emergency broadly, including resources for Angelenos who have been impacted. Again, the priority of all Angelenos remains to stay safe and to follow directions from public safety officials. I was at the command post for the Palisades fire with Governor Newsom and other federal partners earlier today, and we talked about strategies to provide relief. First, I just got off the phone with President Biden, and right before this press conference, I also spoke to Vice President Harris earlier today. Earlier today, the president announced the federal government would pay for 100% of disaster response costs from the wildfires in this area. This is unprecedented because usually it is not 100%. As the FEMA Administrator Chris Wall will discuss, new resources are also available for impacted Angelenos to recover from this emergency. So thank you, FEMA Administrator, for being here today and for your continued partnership on behalf of the White House. Second, as you heard from the update from the county, at the Eaton Fire Post, in coordination with the County of LA, we have requested the National Guard, along with the sheriff, and the county has implemented a curfew in all burn areas. And actually, let me correct that and say that the county is looking at a curfew, but has not implemented it yet. In Los Angeles, we have had evacuation orders in place in the Palisades and in Sylmar. Those evacuation orders have the force of a curfew, meaning you must leave and you cannot come back into the area, period. 24 hours a day. We have to protect the area, especially from those properties that remain. I've joined the sheriff in inviting the National Guard to take on non-emergency roles and provide us with resources to keep the burn area secure so that our frontline firefighters and police officers can focus on saving lives. So let me be clear, there's going to be zero tolerance for anybody that would be, I don't even know how to say this, but that would dare to enter houses or loot property or anything from the individuals or from structures that remain standing. I was with DA Hochman this morning, and he made it very clear that if anybody is involved in looting or any property damage, that he is ready to prosecute to the full extent of the law. So my team is in coordination with the Adjutant General who heads the National Guard, and I've spoken with the governor about the National Guard to take on specifically non-emergency roles to free up our firefighters and officers to do the life-saving work that they do in the city so that we are sure to have enough resources to surge our first responders so that they can focus on the life-saving work. Third, we're already looking ahead to aggressively rebuild. The city of Los Angeles will lead in this effort in the areas that are impacted by the city. We are going to clear the red tape and unnecessary delays and cost and headaches that people experience in ordinary times so that we can rebuild your homes quickly. We're going to clear the way to rapidly rebuild our neighborhood infrastructure, which means roads, sidewalks, street lights, and utilities. We will clear the way to rebuild and open our small businesses and provide assistance to make it through these closures. This is a massive effort, but we will be ready, and we will get the job done by turning away from the usual city system and moving forward in a new direction. LA has to be strong, united. We will reject those who seek in this emergency, when lives are at stake and lives have been lost, we will reject those who seek to divide us and seek to misinform, because as evidenced by the leadership standing here today, we will be united. We will rebuild our city, and we will do what is ever is necessary to get us past this crisis. And we can do that by being united. So let me just introduce our FEMA administrator, and I really want to thank her for coming here from Washington, D.C., obviously on very short notice, Deanne Criswell.
Thank you, Mayor Bass. First, I would just like to start by saying on behalf of President Biden, Vice President Harris, and the entire Biden-Harris administration, our hearts go out to everybody who has been impacted by this truly tragic event. And I think as you heard Mayor Bass lay out her really aggressive vision for how you're going to rebuild, I just want you to know, Mayor, that we are going to be here with you along the way to help you rebuild in a way that makes you stronger and more resilient. As the firefighters continue to bring in resources and support the suppression efforts for these fires, with the major disaster declaration, we now have the ability to begin having those conversations about recovery, as well as help the individuals who have lost everything jumpstart their road to recovery. If you live in Los Angeles County and you have been impacted by this disaster, you can register for FEMA assistance. You can go to disasterassistance.gov. That's the best way to get into our system and start that process. You should also contact your insurance company, because we will need that information as well as we start to work with you on your claim. Some of the things that you're going to be eligible for: if you incurred costs for temporary lodging as you evacuated, if you're going to need longer term lodging because you're displaced from your home for a period of time, if you need repairs to your home, we have some financial assistance that can help there. If you lost other things like a vehicle, we have some financial assistance. We know that everybody's situation is going to be different for each person. It's going to be unique to them. We want to be able to work with each of you individually to help you on that road to recovery, help you get to the right resources, whether it's FEMA resources, complementing what your insurance company may provide, or bringing in our nonprofit partners to help make sure that we have a holistic recovery for everybody that's been impacted. But we'll also work with you, Mayor, for things like temporary schools, temporary road repair if you need that, all these temporary measures that are going to be needed to help stabilize the community as you start to rebuild, and especially with the debris removal. And as President Biden announced, we're going to cover that debris removal and all of your emergency protective measures at 100% for 180 days, because we know it's going to take a long time to get that debris removal out. I think what I'll just say in closing here is we know that recovery is complicated, and for something as catastrophic as what I have seen so far here across Los Angeles, we know that this recovery is going to be complicated. But it is doable when we all come together with the city, the state, the federal government, our nonprofit partners. When we work together, as you can see behind us here, anything is possible, and we will help you rebuild in a way that makes you stronger, Mayor.
Let me introduce now, and first of all, let me just say that the President Biden and Vice President Harris just could not have been more supportive, and various members of the cabinet. But let me introduce our Senator, Adam Schiff.
Madam Mayor, thank you. Thank you for bringing us all together, and thank you for your leadership. I want to begin also by acknowledging those that have lost their lives and lost their homes. I was on the phone much of the early part of the day talking to people that lost everything, and for so many, because of the nature of these fires, they not only lost their home, they lost their whole neighborhood, they lost their whole community. They lost their school and their place of worship. It's all gone. And I just want to express the heartbreak I know we're all feeling over those massive losses, unprecedented in our state's history. I also want to, as the mayor was alluding to, take this opportunity to thank the Biden administration for what they've done. Senator Padilla and I and the California House delegation, several of my colleagues here today, have worked to try to get a quick declaration of a disaster, to try to get the most we could in terms of federal match, and we could not have asked for more from the administration. The declaration was almost immediate. And as the mayor was saying, You're lucky normally to get 75% of a federal match. We learned today from the president we're getting 100% federal match here. That's extraordinary. I talked to the president and the vice president today about both these issues and more and the needs ahead, and they could not have been more committed to making sure that California and Southern California get the resources and help they need. And I thank our FEMA administrator also for her work on this. Finally, I just want to say candidly, we are not through this by any means. We keep seeing these fires pop up in different places. We may see more before this is over. If you're told to evacuate, then get the hell out. You might think you can outrun a fire. You are not going to outrun these fires. You're just not. The way they are moving, the unpredictability of how they're moving, the swiftness with how they're moving, you are not going to outrun these fires. If you stay, you're going to die in them, and it's not worth it. So if you're told to evacuate, get the hell out. Save yourselves. You can rebuild because we are going to rebuild. We also, I think, have to be mindful of the risks that will follow these fires, and that is when the rains come and the risk of mudslides. So I say that because we need to know what we're looking forward to ahead. But I want to underscore finally what the mayor was saying also. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. We're Californians. We will bounce back from this. We will rebuild from this, rebuild our neighborhoods and our schools and our places of worship. We will come back from this. And once again, I thank all of you that are on the front lines of this, all of the first responders who are out there every day putting their lives on the line, doing heroic work. I'm grateful to all the other jurisdictions that are providing personnel and materiel. Just going through some of the fire areas earlier today, you see one truck from this county, another from that county, from all over the state, the country, and indeed other countries as well. So thank you to the first responders. Thank you, Mayor.
Before I bring up our supervisor, let me just acknowledge City Councilman John Lee. He wanted to be here today, but because of the latest fire, he went to that situation. Supervisor Lindsay Horvath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our West Hills, Hidden Hills, Calabasas residents are under evacuation order and evacuation warning for the Kenneth fire. As you heard, it just started over 2 hours ago, and at the rate of spread and the density of the communities in this area, it is serious. Please act swiftly, move quickly, evacuate now to protect your life, the lives of your community members, and the lives of our first responders. A shelter has been established at El Camino Real Charter School at 5440 Valley Circle in Woodland Hills. Continue to stay updated at emergency.lacounty.gov to ensure we can protect lives during this critical time. I've been in touch with most of the elected leaders in this area, and we are united in our commitment to keeping people safe. Our independent cities have lived through this before. They are resilient and they are strong, but they must stay informed. Your partnership is critical to our success in keeping you safe. To those impacted by these devastating fires, my heart is with you. The grief that we have witnessed out there is immense as we see homes and neighborhoods changed forever. And as the time goes on, it feels heavier. We are weary, but we will not break. The county is here for you, both in the crisis and on the road ahead. For my 3rd District communities impacted by Palisades, Sunset, and Hearst fires, the Pacific Palisades, due to the President's major disaster declaration, impacted community members can start applying for relief now, as you heard. Please visit disasterassistance.gov or call 800-621-FEMA to get started. For my residents in the Topanga Canyon, I've been in contact with Chief Maroney and Captain C2, and Topanga Canyon is the #1 priority for Palisades Fire area today for them. Personnel, both aerial and on the ground, are being deployed to protect our Topanga Canyon communities, and we are here for you, and every resource is committed to you and your safety. To our residents in Malibu, be on alert for additional evacuation instructions due to the Kenneth Fire. We know you are already suffering so much, and we are fighting even greater devastation. We are here for you. Santa Monica's curfew remains active from sunset to sunrise, and their evacuation orders are unchanged today. Santa Monica Mayor Lana Negretti is here with us this afternoon, and we stand strong with all Santa Monicans. Hollywood, the Sunset Fire is contained with no structures destroyed. All evacuation orders have been lifted. Please continue to stay alert and move with caution as you return to your homes. Crews are still working, so your safety is their and our priority. I want to especially thank Senator Schiff and FEMA Administrator Criswell for their support. Alongside many present here, I was able to join so many in visiting and learning from our extraordinary firefighters, our law enforcement officials, and first responders at the Palisades Fire Incident Command Post earlier today. They are digging even deeper, despite treacherous conditions and long hours. Help is on the way for them, but we know you will have our back until then. Shortly after that, President Biden called me personally to offer his additional support. His compassion knows no bounds, and his deep understanding of our pain means he has our back too. With that, I want to close in talking about the devastation that people are feeling. Mental health supports continue to be available through the county's Department of Mental Health, 800-854-7771. We have sent mental health professionals out to many of the shelter locations to ensure that while people are waiting, they are beginning their healing process and getting the support that they need. The Disaster Distress Helpline is also available for crisis counseling. You can call or text 800-985-5990. Our county is doing everything possible to respond to these fires and to work towards containment. But please continue to follow evacuation orders and stay vigilant. I know it is hard to walk away from everything that you have invested yourself in, but if you don't, it puts us all at risk. Please follow these evacuation orders. Take care of yourselves and each other. The only way we get through this is together. We will protect our communities and come through this stronger. And next, I'd like to introduce LA County Fire Chief, Deputy Chief John O'Brien.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John O'Brien, Chief Deputy of Emergency Operations for the County of Los Angeles Fire Department. Tonight, I'll start by giving an update on the Eaton Fire affecting the communities of Altadena, Pasadena, Sierra Madre, Arcadia, and Monrovia. The Los Angeles County Fire Department remains in unified command with Pasadena Fire, Sierra Madre Fire, Arcadia Fire, the United States Forest Service, and CAL FIRE, as well as the Sheriff's Department and our local law enforcement agencies. The Eaton Fire is now over 13,609 acres and still remains 0% contained. We have 1,527 firefighting personnel assigned and mutual aid resources from across the state and nation arriving to assist with this fire. We have had several firefighter injuries reported and estimate that over 5,000 structures have been destroyed. This is based on aerial imagery that's been provided. We expect those numbers can change, either go up or down based on additional mapping of the fire, as well as when our damage inspection teams get out there and complete their thorough damage assessment of the burn area. We also had one firefighter injured today who sustained injuries battling the fire and is currently at a local area hospital. The cause of the fire is unknown and remains under investigation. As soon as the cause is determined, we'll be sure to get that information out to all. As Supervisor Horvath and Chief Crowley mentioned, the Kenneth Fire started just after 2:30 p.m. today in West Hills and has grown over 800 acres in that short period of time. We have a significant augmentation of ground and air resources assigned, with evacuations currently in the communities of West Hills, Hidden Hills, and Calabasas. Additional information will be provided as this incident develops, but I encourage all to be vigilant and visit lacounty.gov/emergency for the latest incident information. The number of resources assigned to this fire siege event has increased significantly, and we are in a much better position than we were earlier in the week. Out-of-state resources continue to arrive in Los Angeles County, and we are appreciative of our fire partners from throughout the western United States for providing assistance to Los Angeles County in our time of need. Regarding the current red flag warning, the National Weather Service predicts the warning will remain in effect for Los Angeles County and the majority of Ventura County through Friday, with another likely event impacting both counties earlier next week. I encourage all residents and communities to remain vigilant as we weather this fire siege together. And again, visit lacounty.gov/emergency for the latest information on all incidents. And lastly, I want to acknowledge the tireless efforts of my Los Angeles County Fire Department personnel and all the firefighters who are here assisting, both on the lines and those behind the scenes who continue to place themselves in harm's way to protect the residents and property of this great county. Thank you for always being there and continuing to be a safe and take care of yourself, those around you and the people who need us most. Thank you. And with that, I'll now turn it over to Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonald.
Good evening. Los Angeles Police Department extends our deepest sympathy to those who've been affected by the devastating fire. Our community is facing significant challenges, and ensuring the safety and well-being of our residents is our #1 priority. The department is fully committed to protecting lives, property, and critical infrastructure during this crisis. I want to also, as you've heard, I don't know that we can thank enough the members of the LAPD, the Sheriff's Department, all of our fire partners, and then others that don't get recognition, the Department of Public Works, Department of Water and Power, so many others that are out there on the front lines and doing the job to try and restore order to everyone. There was a fatality reported earlier today around 10 a.m. Officers were notified of a death investigation in the 15,300 block of Friend Street in the Palisades area. LAPD investigators immediately notified LA Fire Department arson and the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office, who responded and determined the death to be fire-related. The LAPD and our law enforcement partners are actively maintaining law and order in areas impacted by the fires. Officers are patrolling these areas to try and deter criminal activity and ensure public safety. Protecting homes and businesses in the evacuated and vulnerable zones is our priority, ensuring no one takes advantage of a difficult situation. As the mayor said earlier, there will be zero tolerance for looting. Looting or exploiting this disaster will not be tolerated. Individuals caught looting or committing crimes in affected areas will be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. There are no reports of looting at this time tonight. Our people remain vigilant, and patrols in burn areas have been increased to prevent and respond swiftly to such activities. To enhance public safety and allow first responders and recovery teams to work effectively, a countywide hard curfew is in effect or will be in effect from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the affected burn areas. Anyone violating this curfew order or that will be in effect, or the current evacuation order without valid reason, may face legal consequences. The measure is essential to protect residents and support recovery efforts. The support of the National Guard is invaluable during this emergency, and we're thankful for that, enabling law enforcement to focus on crime suppression. The National Guard will be assisting in the following areas: traffic control. To maintain roadways and ensuring access to affected areas is restricted only to authorized personnel. critical infrastructure security, and checkpoints verifying credentials and restricting unauthorized entry into those protected zones. These measures may cause inconvenience to many, but they are necessary for public safety and community recovery. Residents are encouraged to report any suspicious activity to their local law enforcement agency. A united effort is key to ensuring a swift and secure recovery process for all. Law enforcement, the National Guard, and other first responders are here to support the community during this difficult time. The commitment remains steadfast in restoring safety and normalcy as quickly as we can. Cooperation and resilience from the community is greatly appreciated, and we're thankful for the cooperation that we've received to this point. Thank you. Let me now introduce, following me is LA Unified School District Superintendent Alberto Carvalho. I'm sorry, my mistake. Now my partner, Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna. Thank you.
You forgot about me already. Just a quick overview. We have close to 500 sheriff deputies working throughout the county, working on evacuations, working on traffic control, both ingress and egress, and we are also working what we call looter suppression. It's unfortunate that we have to assign people to do that task, but we have behind that. In regards to resources, on the way to this press conference, our Northern Command made a request for 100 more deputies, or roughly 100 more deputies. So we are in the process, from a mutual aid perspective, of sending what we have internally and then requesting resources from counties around us as we are working, as you see and hear, many different priorities. Because this event continues and we continue to get new fires, the mayor mentioned it, Chief McDonald mentioned it. I've been working with the state in trying to estimate the California National Guard and how they would be utilized. We made the official request earlier today, and I'm happy to report that they have been staged and ready to go. They're going to get deployed to specific missions. The first missions will be at the Palisades fire, at the Eaton fire. They will be supporting the city of Los Angeles as well. Mayor Bass and Chief McDonald made that request to us. There are several other cities that have requested National Guard resources. The city of Santa Monica, the city of Pasadena, the city of Arcadia. And I'm sure as time goes on, there will be others. Our Emergency Operations Bureau will distribute not only mutual aid resources throughout the county as needed, and then we may have to redeploy people, whether it is police officers, deputy sheriffs, or National Guardsmen, as we see. And then the state, again, I can't say enough about the Office of Emergency Services and the support of Governor Newsom, who has basically called and said, what do you need? What else can we send you? I also received a call from Commissioner Sean DeRee from the California Highway Patrol. We have been utilizing their resources and using them through a mutual aid response throughout the county. I want to switch gears momentarily. You've heard the word curfew come up a couple of times. We as the county are in the process with our attorneys and our Office of Emergency Management of drafting that curfew paperwork. And as we're doing that, I cannot tell you if the curfew will be enacted tonight. The goal is for it to be enacted tonight, but once we get everything done, we may enact it tomorrow night. That being said, I want to make sure, and we've said it a couple of times, in the areas that have been evacuated, do not go in there unless you have specific business. And right now, the only people who have business in there are firefighters and law enforcement, or some kind of worker that's trying to put utilities back together for us. You will be detained. You will be arrested if you're doing there and you're up to no good. And as the mayor said, we've all talked to the district attorney who says that they will prosecute without hesitation. So please make sure everybody understands that. And just going back to the curfew for clarification is not county-wide. The curfew will only take place in the impacted areas, specifically those areas that have had mandated evacuations. So, for example, in the city of Los Angeles, as they're requesting those National Guard resources, you're talking about the Palisades area. For us in Los Angeles County, it is also that Palisades, Malibu, Lost Hills area, and then the Altadena area. Pasadena, self-explanatory. Santa Monica, self-explanatory, and the other cities that are requesting the assistance. As you see, with all of our partners, from a mutual aid perspective, we are second to none anywhere in this country. Whether it is fire resources or it is law enforcement resources, we are able to depend on each other to make sure that we provide the best service we can to our community. Just the very last thing, if anyone has any questions about whether it's evacuations, mandatory, or warnings, or any traffic closures, go to lacounty.gov/emergency for updated information. Thank you very much. And with that now, I will bring up the superintendent. We didn't forget about you.
Thank you.
Whether it's evacuations, mandatory, or warnings, or any traffic closures, go to lacounty.gov/emergency for updated information. Thank you very much. And with that now, I will bring up the superintendent. We didn't forget about you.
Thank you very much, Sheriff Luna. Madam Mayor, thank you so much for your leadership. I would like to also thank the city leaders, county, state, and federal entities who have been responsive, who have been supportive and collaborative during very trying times. Today, we closed all schools in Los Angeles Unified School District, and we announced earlier today, because of a detailed examination of scientific data, wind trends, and the continuity of these awful fires, that would be prudent to announce early on the closure of all schools going into tomorrow, January 10th. We made this decision after reviewing, first and foremost, air quality data. Fires may be far away from some communities where we have schools. However, winds are transporting particulate matter, smoke, and ashes across the entire district. And yes, we celebrate when the winds subside, because that allows more effective combating of fires. But when the winds subside, often that cloud of smoke lingers over certain communities. When the winds pick up, obviously the fires explode, creating more smoke. Smoke for us is the enemy, as it compromises the air quality around our schools. We opened 8 feeding centers, grab-and-go food distribution centers across our community. We will increase that to 16 centers across Los Angeles Unified. We recognize that when we close schools, there are a lot of parents who depend on our schools not only for nutrition, but also for child supervision. That is why we partner aggressively, and I am indebted to the YMCA for opening 30 sites, providing child supervision with enrichment activities at no cost to the residents of our community. So tomorrow, our students will continue in a continuity of learning methodology, relying on digital resources available to them. We also recognize that some areas of our community are struggling with power, with electricity, obviously not being able to perhaps have connectivity or electricity for their devices. That is why at our regional centers we have packets of instructional materials for all grade levels and subject areas for those families that may need them. For tomorrow, not only are our schools closed, all extracurricular activities and athletic activities previously scheduled have also been canceled. Reopening the school system is not an easy process, particularly after a crisis like this one. We need to do indoor and outdoor cleaning, the replacement of filters. That's why I want to thank in advance our workforce, particularly SEIU 99, the Teamsters, everyone involved in the replacement of filters and the cleaning process in advance of our students and our staff returning to our schools. We will be examining the data tomorrow and into the weekend before making a decision about conditions as we head into Monday. I don't need to say what has been said. This is a set of unprecedented circumstances. At no point in the history of our community, or perhaps the country, have we had fires simultaneously happening, not one, multiple serious fires simultaneously occurring, wrapped around hurricane-level force winds. I come from a place where hurricanes are a constant, but there's no fire associated. So this is a real threat. I want to thank the first responders that are working tirelessly in our community, and we will be bringing information to our community, which can also be accessed on www.lusd.org. Unas palabras en español. Quiero primeramente agradecer a nuestra alcaldesa, la señora Bass.
All right, you've been listening to a press conference given by, among others, that's LAUSD Superintendent Alberto Carvalho there, saying that all LAUSD schools will be closed as well tomorrow due to air quality. Even schools that aren't in the impacted fire area are susceptible because of all of the smoke and ash that's been blown around in the community. And of course, they are updating this Kenneth fire, and then as we last heard, 960 plus acres are burning in the Kenneth fire. They are making some headway, it looks like, but then again, you know, there's still concern about those winds picking up overnight. They also talked about a curfew.
That's right. Sheriff Luna was saying that they're hoping to get a curfew in place in the areas affected by the fires, because right now the only people that should be in the evacuation zones are fire personnel, law enforcement, and any utility that may be there to reestablish phone connection, internet, Wi-Fi, power if you've lost power as well.
Those are the mandatory evacuation areas.
That is correct. And if it goes into effect, he was saying earlier today, it would be from 6 p.m. till 6 a.m. the following day. So a 12-hour shutdown, basically a curfew in these areas.
We also had an update from LA City Fire and, of course, Ventura County. We heard from newly elected Senator
Adam Schiff.
Talking about the problems with looting, and if they catch anyone looting, of course, they will be brought under the color of the law, basically. Also, updating our acreage as far as the Palisades fire, 19,978, I believe, 5,016 structures damaged or destroyed. 2 more deaths discovered in the Palisades fire today. We're going to go back to the presser and Mayor Karen Bass.
Let's go back.
Do you have enough resources? How many firefighters have
And I'm going to answer that in part, but then, of course, I'm going to defer to our police chief that we have been fortunate with mutual aid, with support coming from basically all over the country. And in fact, I was with the governor earlier, Canada is sending support. And I think that we have seen this. We have certainly seen Los Angeles City and County firefighters deployed around the country. Let me acknowledge Freddie Escobar, who is the head of the firefighter union. So just as we have provided mutual aid, I'm getting calls from some of my former colleagues in Congress who are now governors of state who have offered to send people. So I think we have been rich in support. I don't know if we ever have enough resources, but Chief, let you take it from there.
How are your firefighters holding up? Everyone has been flooding our social media and email and phones saying how wonderful our firefighters are. What more do they need? How exhausted are they?
I would love to start with that. So thank you so much for asking about our first responders and our partners. So take a deep breath, and I think about what our firefighters, first responders have been able to do. You look at the multiple fires, the fires keep coming. Our firefighters are working to the highest efforts. I've never seen this in my 25-year career, and I can tell you, as a chief, I can stand strong. I can tell you that LEFD and the rest of our regional partners, our firefighters, boots on the ground, are absolutely tired, but I tell you, they will never, ever give up. They will continue to work hard. They will continue, and we will continue to work to make sure that we're saving as many lives and saving as many properties as we can.
With everything they've been through, though, what problems that we've been hearing from homeowners with water, with the 3 tanks that DWP supplies in that area running out.
Right.
Is that system fixed? Can you assure residents that those hydrants are again going to be working and that's going to be online? Residents are worried that there's a problem preventing you from stopping this fire. We're still at 0% containment.
Sure. What I can tell you first and foremost, one of the biggest assets right now is our air assets. They're in the air. You can see them. We're watching the news just like you. We're talking with everybody, boots on the ground, and the community members. That is one of the biggest key factors right now, especially with Palisades, is our air resources are running and they're dropping water and retardant, which is a huge asset for us. When it comes to the basic fundamentals of water supply and hydrants, I can tell you our firefighters are trained, and in many brush fires, we run out of water and we anticipate that because of the supply demand. There's so many firefighters tapping into a limited supply of water. We're going to anticipate we're going to run out of water. But I tell you, with firefighters, we do train to that fact. We'll figure out a way to either draft waters out of pools, ponds, whatever it may be, and also utilize additional resources out there with water tenders that carry thousands of gallons. So what I can tell you, the firefighters are doing their very, very best. I promise you that. And also the air assets are a huge, huge thing that we're utilizing right now that'll help Palisades.
Is there a problem with the hydrant system? That's what homeowners are wondering.
Right now, we're not utilizing the hydrants.
Okay. And Mayor Bass, if I may just ask one more question. You just got back, and there's some national criticism that you've seen. You say we need to stand together, but there have been calls for your resignation. There's a change.org petition. What do you say to those criticisms coming at you?
Let me say, actually, first of all, let me finish on the firefighters, because everything the chief said, of course, I support. But there was one thing you didn't mention, and that is that while our firefighters are out there fighting fires, they also have had loss as well, whether it's their homes or property. And while they're going through what a lot of people are in these neighborhoods, they're having to fight fires. And let me just say, because I answered some questions like that in the morning, and let me just state now. Number one, these fires are burning now. Our job is to make sure that people stay alive, that we save lives, that we save homes, that we save property. And I also said that when the fires are out, we will do a deep dive. We will look at what worked. We will look at what didn't work, and we will let you know. Until then, my focus is on the TV screens behind you that are showing devastation that has continued. Thank you. Answered it in the morning, answered it now, won't answer it again.
Next question to Dakota.
Oh, sure. In terms of President Trump, when he takes office, can you reverse any of the
Oh, well, let me just say.
We did
let
pick
me
up
just
our
say
press
quickly.
conference, and we left off with Mayor Bass, who was addressing some questions from reporters, and her answer as to why she wasn't, why she has been receiving criticism on these fires. Her answer was, well, that number one, the fires are happening right now, and the job of the city is to ensure that lives and property are saved. We will download, and I'm just paraphrasing, what happened on day one when she wasn't here at a later moment, but right now they're focusing on saving lives and property. Chief Kristen Crowley said that the biggest asset right now are the water dropping assets, those choppers and those fixed wing aircraft who have been making a big difference in fighting these fires. And we do have a new fire that has broken out. That's the Kenneth fire that's burning at over 960 acres right now.